Hey guys, it's Carnal. I just wanted to do a quick video on this little lovely Pat Bagley comic where it shows a police officer at a doctor's office for a checkup, and the problem apparently is that he has a Klansman living in his abdomen area. This is from the Salt Lake Tribune, again by Pat Bagley. And I just wanted to take a moment because this has kicked up a shitstorm in Utah. And I'm going to show you the police's response to it. For immediate release, September 2nd, 2020. It reads, if you did not see Pat Bagley's cartoon in the Salt Lake Tribune on September 1st, consider yourself lucky. Unfortunately, many men and women in law enforcement, brown, white, black, did see his cartoon, which stands for the proposition that law enforcement are also Ku Klux Klan members. This is not the time for such a divisive piece of journalism, if you can call it journalism, as tensions are already high in Utah and across the country. This is not the time for such a prejudicial piece of journalism, and law enforcement officers across Utah and across the United States go to work every day to protect communities and do their best to help victims of crime and keep the peace. This is not the time to throw a quote-unquote hand grenade, this cartoon, and then, through a decision by someone at Salt Lake Tribune, block and hide the comments that flooded in. Such hypocrisy. And of course they're right. This is not the time to fan the flames as law enforcement leaders and community leaders meet and discuss ways we can all do better when it comes to fair and equal treatment for all, with the goal of finding a peaceful path forward. This is not the time for a cheap shot, Pat Bagley. Pat Bagley, many say, does his best to be funny, and while we are told he has even been recognized for his work, in the eyes of law enforcement, Mr. Bagley will always be that guy who believes and publishes that law enforcement members are also Ku Klux Klan members. And the guy that stopped free speech, blocked all comments after enjoying that precious right himself. The women and men that swore an oath to protect and serve as members of law enforcement demand an apology from Mr. Bagley, unless he truly does believe that all members of law enforcement are KKK members. And if that is the case, no apology will be forthcoming. Mr. Bagley and the Salt Lake Tribune's silence will speak volumes. Well done. Of course, as a free speech advocate myself, I cannot condemn someone for making such a comic. They are free to make such a horrific statement or such a horrific image. That is their right. However, if you're going to appeal to free speech, you cannot deny it from others. That's the deal. And the moment that the Salt Lake Tribune and Pat Bagley yeeted the comment section from this cartoon, they lost all moral authority of that cartoon. And thankfully, people aren't having this shit. Police supporters protested Pat Bagley cartoon at the Salt Lake Tribune printing press. The signs are hilarious. There's an American Lives Matter sign, and it says, if this line offends you, you might want to stop crossing it. With the little tag at the bottom, Epstein didn't kill himself. Amazing. I love this. So, let's get down to Pat Bagley's excuse for why he chose to run this despicable cartoon. But Utah Rep. Chris Stewart says it is extremely dangerous and inappropriate, and only fans the flames of hatred and mistrust. I stand with the Utah Sheriff's Association. The Tribune and Pat Bagley should immediately retract and apologize. All right, good for you, Representative. The Tribune does not plan to apologize. The editorial page editor said the cartoon will remain online. Cartoonist Pat Bagley responded on Twitter that the officer in the piece went to the doctor for a checkup because he felt ill. He later said, "I know what I meant to say when I did the cartoon, and the cartoon reflects that. Does it say all law enforcement is racist? No. Does it say policing in America has been infiltrated by white supremacists? Yes. That's just a fact." Where's the citation for that? Where's the proof that police officers have been infiltrated or has been subject to infiltration by the Ku Klux Klan? I don't see that. I don't see any information that says that. I know that there's suggestion or talk online, but I don't see that in actual results. I don't see that evidence in real life. I don't see that whatsoever, and I'm glad that people are resisting this kind of mind control from Pat Bagley, and quite honestly, the Salt Lake Tribune has been a dishonest rag since its inception, to be perfectly clear. Okay, in 2016, the FBI released a report on white supremacy and policing saying, white supremacist leaders and groups have historically shown an interest in infiltrating law enforcement. That doesn't mean that they have. It doesn't mean that they're effective at it. The report specifically mentions that the KKK. The report specifically mentions the KKK, saying the group is notable for garnering community support, which often translates into ties to local law enforcement. That is not a direct link. That is flimsy as fuck. And it's bad science, and it is a horrible thing to unsubstantially, without just cause, link all law enforcement to the Ku Klux Klan. That's irresponsible. It lists examples of officers who've participated in, quote, activities in support of white supremacist beliefs, end quote, although the specifics are redacted, meaning they could have just made it up. We don't know the details exactly. We don't know what this report of the FBI is alleging is white supremacy. Good jeez. Completely irresponsible. The Utah Sheriff's Association said they interpreted the drawing as saying all law enforcement officers are also Ku Klux Klan members. Pyle said they misinterpreted it. No, let's go look at the cartoon again. Let's look at the cartoon again, because this needs a double take. This is a law enforcement officer going into the doctor because he's not feeling well, because he feels that something is wrong in his body or something along to those effects. And the doctor is revealing, hey, you're a secret Nazi. You're a white supremacist. And the problem with that is, in contrast to the FBI report, where infiltrating the law enforcement is intentional, this specific expression, this specific situation is not, quote-unquote, intentional. It's saying that all cops, whether they know it or not, are a part of the Ku Klux Klan agenda, and that's what's haunting them in their sleep. That's what's causing them to go to the doctor. And anyone who's met any real white supremacist knows that they feel good about it. They feel righteous about it. They feel vindicated about it. That is a crock of shit from the Salt Lake Tribune to say, in essence, that they're not talking about all cops. Yes, you are. The statement said from the group that is protesting Mr. Bagley's cartoon that Bagley chose to malign a group of people he knew wouldn't lash out at him. Make no mistake, they say, Mr. Bagley, we are not in Paris, and you do not work for Charlie Hebdo. You understand that no mob is coming for you. You will sacrifice nothing. In fact, Mr. Bagley, in this case, you are the mob. perfect. On point. On point. Bagley responded to Stewart saying, "You know it's dangerous? Police with no accountability and a rep who misinterprets a cartoon to rile people up." No, he did not misinterpret it. You sent the message you wanted to send. And it wasn't that some cops have infiltrated the law enforcement. No, it means that all cops have a systemic problem that they're secretly uncomfortable with and that they have to get checked out. And, oh, look, it's a Klansman in their gut. Fuck you, Bagley. Sincerely. Not only just fuck you, but good for the people for standing up to this bullshit. Some don't understand, Pyle said, this is the editor of the cartoon section, that just because a drawing is called a cartoon, it doesn't mean it's supposed to be funny. They're not always intended to elicit laughs. Sometimes gasps are appropriate. Yeah. Except for your comment was extremely bigoted and inappropriate, is the message that you're getting from your public. At Thursday's protest, attendees vowed to hold the Tribune accountable, saying they'll flood the newsroom's floodlines and inboxes with their demands. Protest organizer Sky Christensen, with the group Blue Lines Unites Everyone, said, "We have a goal here, and that is to show the Salt Lake Tribune that we're here and we're not going to back down. We're not scared. We're not going to stop fighting." And you know what? Good for them. Absolutely good for them. See, because the real shitty thing here is Bagley and the Salt Lake Tribune now want to hide behind free speech. And they want to hide behind free speech after they denied it to those they exposed this cartoon to. They wanted to put it out there, but they didn't want the criticism of their art. And you know what makes them better? You know what? Let me rephrase that. You know what makes them so far less moral and immoral compared to the Charlie Hebdo case? Charlie Hebdo had skin in the game. They knew that they were going to be potentially violently attacked by those that they went after. Pat Bagley knows that these people aren't going to go for him violently. And on top of not allowing them, on top of knowing that they're not going to go after him violently, he removed their right to speech to his own expression. And for that, I sincerely say, fuck you, Pat Bagley, and fuck your comic. I'm sorry. Words escape me concerning how unworthy this individual has made their position on freedom of speech because they exercised their power to deny it from everyone else. And that's all I have to say about it.